Professor Nathan, one of our nation's most distinguished China experts, what is your view?
Of which aspect?
Well, I guess the key question...
I disagree with these dudes, but no.
The key question is whether you feel that there's a fundamental rethinking taking place in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
Or whether Wall Street was up 400 points today because Wall Street is hopeful that there'll be a quick fix, an easy fix at the meeting Donald Trump is going to have with Xi Jinping next month. So is there an easy fix? Is there an easy path out of this? Or is this a deeper structural problem?
So I think your question is about the political forces in the United States primarily. I mean, it's a fact that China is going to overtake the U.S. in GDP, and it's building its those are facts. China has become a great power, which is uncomfortable for us. But what are the domestic politics of this? And I think that Wall Street would like to keep the relationship with China, and there's some people from Wall Street in the administration, like Steven Mnuchin. I think that the intelligence community in general is very, very concerned about China overtaking us in technologies that are essential to our national security. I think the Pentagon is very worried about China's ability to to potentially attack Taiwan or the Senkakus and to prevent the United States from effectively intervening because of the way they've modernized their military to hold the U.S. military forces off. The U.S. is depending on forward deployed airfields and ports and aircraft carriers that are now vulnerable to Chinese attack, and that may deter the U.S.
Significant military progress so their missiles could reach our ships.
And I think a large part of the U.S. business community, the part that's competing with China on high tech, is authentically very angry about the loss of intellectual property to China. There's a certain group in the White House, Navarro, Lighthizer, Pence, and one doesn't really know what Trump thinks, but or whether he has a strategy. But so I think that I don't know that the broad public, in terms of public opinion polling, is really awakened to the way that it did with the Soviet Union, with the idea that there's a horrible threat. I'm not sure that the public is there, but I think that in the policy community, there are a lot of powerful forces that do feel that China is behaving in a way that poses a threat, and they want to, but they don't really have a good strategy to make China stop doing what it's doing. And on the part of Trump, I think he may possibly just be interested in the trade deficit as such, which is a thing that you cannot fix and which is not a strategy. And I think there are people like Bannon who are basically interested in scaring the voters so that the voters will vote on the right-hand side of the ballot instead of on the left-hand side. So I think there are a lot of forces operating, but that most of those forces in the U.S. political system do view China as, along with Russia or even ahead of Russia in some cases, the primary strategic threat. And the national security strategy of the United States, an official document published last year, said that. And for many years, that document identified terrorism as the primary threat. And now it's Russia and China put together. But I think for many of these policymakers, those threats are different anyway, let's put it that way.
So you don't see an easy fix. This is we're headed into a deep reevaluation.
I think there could be an easy fix for the tariffs. The Chinese offered Trump $90 billion. They would buy $90 billion worth of soybeans. And Trump said, I want more. You guys are not softened up enough. So if Xi Jinping comes around and says, I'll take 120 billion pounds of, we're going to eat beans. We're all going to eat beans for the next, and he doesn't have to actually buy them. He only has to let Trump stand up and say, I beat Xi Jinping.
Right.
That could solve the tariffs, but the tariffs don't solve anything at all. They don't even solve the trade deficit.